sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy, it's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. I am your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is a solo episode, and I'm going to be sharing the one question I wish people would stop asking me as their sales coach. I hope you'll stick around and listen, because you might find that if you learn how to stop asking this question and ask something else instead, you will find that you will get so much more out of your coaching experience, regardless of who your coach is. So the thing about coaching, I'm a big believer in hiring a coach. I love the idea of making a big investment in myself. And I think of that when people work with me, that they're making this big investment in themselves when they hire me as their coach. And it shows such a deep level of commitment to your own personal growth and expanding your capabilities and what's possible for you in your life and in your business. These are the things that light me up. I love personal development. I have been so committed to it since a pretty young age. As soon as I started making even just a little bit of money, I started investing in myself, and it always pays off in all kinds of ways, not always monetarily, but often for sure. So it's important, I think, when I'm working with a coach, is I really want to glean from this person's expertise. I want to expand what's possible for me. And so I, of course, hope that for my clients as well. And so there's this one question that I think is so tempting to ask. And oftentimes it's so tempting that we act on the temptation. We actually ask the question. And this is the question I wish people would stop asking me. What did I do wrong? As a coach, and just so you know, I really even struggled. In the first couple of years, I wouldn't even identify myself as a coach because it just felt like, I don't think that's the right way to describe who I am and what I am. I finally embraced it because my clients, that's how they referred to me over and over again, even though I didn't really market myself that way starting out in my business. But I always give in to like, what do the clients say? How do the clients describe? Because I want it to be, it's for their benefit, not mine. So even I had a limiting belief around the idea of the word coach. But the thing that I've known from the very beginning is that I do take it very seriously when somebody invests money to work with me. And it's like, I don't know, when you find yourself in those situations where you're like, oh, I better be on my best behavior right now. Like the stakes are high. I always feel that when somebody makes an investment, like the stakes are high. I need to show up, and I commit fully when I'm coaching. I am the type of coach who will give advice, will share stories from my own experience. I don't play my cards close to my vest. Like I'm pretty like, this is it. I will be revealing. I will share the wins, the losses, the ups and the downs. And I really do think as a coach, my job is to be the guide. I'm not the hero. I'm not the savior. I'm just the guide. I'm just trying to keep you on track and get you to where you've said you want to go. I'm not going to try to derail. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I'm just going to guide in the direction that you most want to go. I might speak up if I think I see some I see some pits here that you could fall in. I'll definitely speak up about it, but my job is to be the guide. So recently I was in a coaching session with a client, and she asked me the question. She hired me, she booked me. It was kind of it was one of those, like somebody who's been a client for a while. She reached out kind of last minute, was like, I really, really need a session with you. Is there any chance like I could get on your schedule soon? So got her into the schedule, got on the call, and I was like, okay, what's going on? Tell me, like, give me the update. What's the situation? And she explained the situation, and then she said, what did I do wrong? Now, I love a question, and I'm always so tempted to ask the question, but it really did stop me in my tracks that particular day. And I could just feel this huge sense of resistance in how I normally show up in these sessions with clients. So anytime something feels amiss, I get curious. That's kind of my go-to factor. Like, I get curious and I start asking questions. Because when I don't know what to do or what to say, or when I don't want to answer a question, I ask questions. So here I was in this situation. She explained it. What did I do wrong? And I didn't want to respond, which is not the norm for me, honestly, in a coaching session. And I could just, with this huge sense of resistance, I just started asking her, well, first tell me, like, how is me answering this question for you going to really serve you today? Because I need to know that in order to decide whether or not I'm going to answer the question. And so she kind of gave me some information. Then I said, and what are you most wanting to achieve right now, given where you are in this particular situation with your client? And as soon as she explained that to me, it was like, okay, the lights came back on, the resistance faded away. And I understood that what she really wanted to know was the questions that I'm going to give you here. She really wanted to know what to do now. Like, the situation is what it is. So what to do now? Okay, great. I've got answers for that. I can coach around that. Are you a determined and ambitious woman entrepreneur seeking to elevate your selling skills? Then I have a training for you. It's called How Any Woman Can Confidently Close Any Deal in a One-on-One Sales Call in Any Business or Industry. In this training, you'll be shown 3 techniques that you can immediately apply to your consultation calls and improve your close rate. This is a live training with me, and there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions. So come get yourself registered right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/close. Easy, right? Okay, I'm going to see you there. But I got really thoughtful about this. And even after we got off the call, and I made a note to myself of like, I think I'm going to do something with this. And usually it turns into a podcast or some kind of a training for my Sales Maven Society. So in this particular case, I decided to make it a podcast and hope that it would be helpful to you. Because I know when I'm working with my coaches, sometimes I feel tempted to say, what did I do wrong? But how is that really serving? And how is that really helping me in this situation? Because where you are is where you are. Like, whatever happened, that's done. It's not like we can go back and change the past. So I'm not sure that that is actually serving you. And so here are some questions that I would recommend for you to keep in your back pocket, and questions to ask anytime you're tempted to ask somebody for feedback around the question, what did I do wrong? Instead, because the thing about what did I do wrong, before I give you the questions, is it feels a little bit like identity, a little bit of like you're attaching your identity to something. And I don't think people are wrong or bad per se. Like, I just don't think it's helpful. So instead of asking, what did I do wrong? Here are a few questions that you might try asking instead, and see if this actually gives you the clarity that you're looking for and assists you in moving forward in your life and in your business and whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So ask your coach, what do I do now? That's one. Ask your coach, what possible options would you recommend? Now, this one came up because what the client wanted to know is like what to do now. And then as I started digging into the situation, there were a couple potential scenarios of what might happen. So she wanted some options like, well, if they come back and say this, what might I do? If they come back and say that, what could I do there? And there needed to be a couple options. So what possible options would you recommend given these scenarios? That's a great question to ask of your coach. And then for future learning, instead of what did I do wrong in that situation, ask what might I do differently if and when a similar situation comes up in the future. Because now you're looking out of like, okay, we're in the future and I'm making some adjustments and I'm planning for it now versus like getting the whip out and beating myself for doing something wrong. So in case this is helpful, I want to say, as somebody who takes coaching very seriously and somebody who invests quite a bit of money in myself, in my own coaches, is give yourself some grace. I had a situation recently where I will say my go-to initially was like, oh my gosh, I just made this huge mistake. This was so wrong. And I like sat in it for a little while. Luckily, I have somebody in my life who is the most like a pragmatic person. And they were like, give yourself a half an hour, shake it off, and then start figuring out like what you're going to do next. And it's so helpful to have those people. And so and I had a coaching call with my coach the next day after this day where I was feeling really down. And I even said, like, I started and said to my coach, I feel a little deflated about this, to which my coach responded, we're taking emotion out of it and we're just going to be looking at the facts. It was so helpful to have somebody that would coach in that way instead of like, oh yeah, you messed up here. Yeah, messed up there. Like I would have just even felt worse about myself. So look for the coaches that want to help you figure out like what to do now. Surround yourself with the right people and ask the right questions. And if you're asking this question, like, what do I do now? Or what can I do differently in the future? And the person is just focusing on what you did wrong, you might need to decide how useful is that relationship. And I think you can apply this to other areas of your life. You get to decide, you're in charge. But think about who are you surrounding yourself with and how are they supporting you? Like, who are your people that are challenging you and lifting you up in those moments and not helping you to sit in the dark, like, place of wrongness? So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you today. As always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I am so grateful that you're here, that you show up, that you listen, that you share the podcast, that you give me feedback about the podcast. I love to hear from people that said, I just listened to this podcast, Nikki, and this was my takeaway. So if you feel inclined to do that, please do. If you want to leave a review for the podcast, please do that as well. Thank you for listening. I am wishing you continued success in all that you're doing and to ask better questions. Good luck. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.